That's around Kluva in one of the villages. The Labour Paul Bishop, who was murdered, and this is also the second DHO we're seeing murdered this year. The first was of Masindi, now the one of our district, also under clear circumstances in there. But we are keenly following up on. We want to see how, of course, will be going on. But of course, at the right time, we shall be coming back to let you know of what also comes out of there. And I hope at the right time also we shall be also having that discussion in there. We were supposed to have the acting police PRO this morning, but unfortunately we'll be arrested and brought before book. And that is exactly what we are expecting out of police, and that is why we also have to excuse him to also go for those duties in there. Duties that continue to happen in the country, I mean in the region, because if you look at all these issues, then you realize a lot is happening, and we are getting close to that period. We received shocking news about accidents happening, and on Sunday we were able to receive stories about how a car was able to knock the border riders in Arua City. Today we have had people are now in casualty ward just because somebody picked up the vehicle and rammed into them, and then clear circumstances in there. And that is exactly what we are seeing in relation to what's happening in the world of accidents. And yesterday, on a quite sad note, we also received news about an accident that happened also, that is a Tufkan loss. This is in Terego district, but we are keenly following up on that discussion. We want to see how many people, of course, we are reported also with injuries in there. But what we hope, those who got injured will be also be able to recover quickly in there, because that was also something we did receive yesterday, and more details of that will be coming in our subsequent also sittings, and that is all tomorrow. I will be also giving that information, because this is an accident that happened last night, but by now confirmation has not been made. And we are expecting that from police to also give us an update there and what could exactly have caused this also accident in there. And that is exactly what we are keenly going to be following up on. We want to see how, of course, issues pertaining accidents will be brought down also this festive season, because really as we get close to the festive season, over time we have had scenarios where vehicles are said to have caused accidents here and there. And today I've also written quite good note. I've seen the traffic police over how this, of course, will be moving on. My humble, because we have several other road users, how this, of course, will be moving on. My humble, because we have several other road users. Even the animals crossing, these are part of the road users. They are using the road. What about the pedestrians? These are still road users. You is a motorist, you're a road user. Mind of everyone. It's always good to mind of the road users, not only thinking about yourself alone. And that is how at the end of the day we are going to be seeing an end to the rates of accidents in this country, because many of the times we have had stories of accidents being very common in this nation, in this region. But this time around, we hope with all these campaigns, we want to see an end, that is the road accidents happening in the country, and that is as far as the issues of traffic guidelines is concerned. We as the motorists must respect the traffic rules and regulations. It goes back to all road users. Even you as a pedestrian, you must know where to cross from. There are zebra crossings are there. Take advantage of them. And if at all you want to cross, it is always good to look left and right. This is good. It is always good and keenly for you to also be mindful. But many of the times also we see people crossing the roads without thinking. Recently I knocked a lady on the road, and really this is as far as her mistake. Why? She walked into the road without looking left or right, and I was able to ram into her, and the community wanted to beat her because she had caused an accident for me. And that is how also it is very dangerous. But we are saying today, I do understand that things are very hard. We may be going through a lot, but as we onto these roads, let's always be keen. Let's be mindful of what is happening on the roads. Let's avoid tendencies of walking without any clear sense of direction. And that is how at the end of the day vehicles are going to be knocking us, and that is how motorcycles are going to be running into us. And today in Arua City we have a tendency of what we call the hit and run motorcycles. After knocking you, they're not going to be waiting there, they are going to be escaping. And that is how at the end of the day you're going to be living your life without any proper care, and you will be taken to hospital where nobody is going to be also caring for your bills. So I think it is always key. Let's be mindful of the road users. Let's be mindful as we on these roads. Let's care of what is coming from the either ways. And that is how we would also want to see an end to the rising cases of that is road accidents. And this is where we are going to be seeing that happening. And quite sad note, we have seen several campaigns. And recently I was interacting with the OC Traffic for Arua City, and he actually said he wants to meet the different border groups in Arua City, because these have been identified as the main causes of road accidents in the city, but he is intending to meet all of them one by one, and this was also really where we did see Mungu Fen Foundation and another government organization working in the region training over 100 Bodaboda riders who were gifted with reflector jackets, who also received helmets from the foundation as part of their campaign to also raise awareness that is on road safety as we are getting closer to the end of the year, which is always characterized by rampant cases of road accidents. But hopefully this time round, we are going to be seeing at least a reduction in the rate of accidents, and we as stakeholders, we can be able to minimize some of these cases. And that is how, at the end of the day, we are going to be seeing a reduction, and we are going to be safely on these roads. And our prayer, our humble plea is that we as stakeholders, let's reunite and sensitize the citizens about road safety. It goes back to you as the community leader, as the LC1 chairperson, as the LC2, as the LC3. It goes back to you. You always have to sort of sit down with your community members, sensitize them about road accidents. And in case you meet the Bodaboda riders in their stages, on Sunday I have not had an opportunity of spending almost 3 hours at the Bodaboda stage, and really realize that these people also have a lot of information they have, and also they need also a lot of information from us, because many of the times if we do not brief them about issues of road accidents, it is going to be very dangerous, because they will have a scenario where after purchasing these motorcycles, they remove all the side mirrors. It is us to tell them that these side mirrors are the benefit, or what we call the speed meters. They remove them off just because they want to keep them in their house, and by the time they're going to be selling them, they return back these items so that the price can go high. But is it worth your life? How much is an helmet? Because I do understand that an helmet costs around 50,000. Why don't you then buy it? If you can buy a motorcycle of, let's say, 3 million or 5 million or 3.5, 1.5, 2M, why then don't you purchase a helmet? It is also upon us to tell them that helmets are actually good. And we must also embrace issues of buying helmets. And that is how, at the end of the day, we are going to be seeing our lives safe on these roads. We are going to be taking a short commercial break. When we bounce back, we are going to be discussing a lot of issues. Remember yesterday, the 16 days of activism we launched. We are going to be having that discussion. And I hope you also will be able to share your thoughts and opinions in relation to what we shall be discussing in the second hour of the show. This is the KOKOLIRIKOLIVE live show on West Nile Television with me, Farish Majid. We'll take a short commercial break. When we get back, we shall be unfolding some of those stories.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Look out for StarTimes Solar to unwrap your lighting and entertainment experience this Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
At only 700 shillings daily charge, get yourself a StarTimes S50 that comes with lighting, phone charging, strong lithium battery, radio with a flash port and a Bluetooth speaker. For more entertainment needs, get yourself a StarTimes S130 that comes with an extra 32-inch TV screen and 2 years free StarTimes subscription. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
emyezi 3.
Ekiki?
Ng'owangula.
Nsasula emyezi 3 n'empangula.
Hey!
Ha!
Abaye, kubadde ki?
Kituufu wensasula emyezi 3 mpangula. Kituufu.
Subscribe for 3 months to any package of your choice or grab an Azam TV kit and pay for 3 months and stand a chance to win life-changing rewards. Android smart TVs, fridges, motorcycles, and that is not all. You could walk away with free subscription or the grand prize of 20 million Ugandan shillings in cash. Yes, 20 million grand prize. Subscribe today and enter the draw. For more information, 031 2308 900 or visit any Azam TV dealer near you.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back. We are 37 minutes after 7 o'clock, and this is the second day into the month on this end of the week. We are having the show, and as we are counting down to the end of the month, we're just left about 4 days to wind up with this month. But the question is, how is this? We are getting closer to the last month of the year in there, where so many issues are already happening, where people are taking the laws in their hands to also do a lot of bad activities here and there. Accidents again surfacing. Really, there's a lot we need to do as stakeholders. We need to reunite and make sure that we eradicate some of those issues that are likely to happen within our society, so that solely we can be able to be happy as we on these roads. And as we get to move on, remember, so many issues going to happen. I will be unfolding some of those discussions later on, and I hope at the right time that we as citizens are safe, first of all, as we are getting close to this period, because the issues also that happen within this period here is really terrible. And with the grasshopper period, where we are seeing a number of children moving out without any sense of direction, that leaves us with one thing, that is fear only. So I think it is high time that we must also really be able to also really make sure that we join hands and eradicate some of those road accidents that are likely to happen. And I hope at the right time we are going to be seeing this is already ending, so that so we can be able to be happy as citizens in there. Now, this also really week, we are seeing the launch of, that is 16 days of activism that started yesterday, and they will be running until the 10th of December, where we are going to be having 16 days to raise awareness against gender-based violence. That is against women and boys and girls, because gender-based violence cuts across. It is why I'm saying boys and girls, women and the elderly plus the young. Gender-based violence does not know age, does not know sex. It is also a vice that cuts across. So it is high time that we must also really be able to make sure that we join hands and kick this vice out. And today, when we talk about gender-based violence, statistics also indicate that in the rural city, the vice is on the rise. Despite all efforts to make sure that the vice is brought down, we are still seeing the tendency going up. So I think there's really something that we must be able to join hands and talk about. First of all, issues of domestic violence are happening within our society, and that is why we must also be able to join hands and eradicate this vice, because information from the gender office also indicates that the vice is on the rise. So I think it is high time that as stakeholders we join hands and talk about this vice, because if we do not talk about it, then we are likely to see it persisting, and once it persists, that is how dangerous it is going to be for us as all, because gender-based violence has led to families being divided. The wife goes home after the husband beating them, goes home, the children are the ones suffering, and at the end of the day, if at all, the wives report these cases to the police. The husbands are taken back behind bars. They are put behind bars. How does this impact on the families? It is the children again who suffer tendencies of also really not going to school, food, because sometimes these husbands are the ones who also carry out this responsibility. So I think it becomes a challenge for the relevant stakeholders to also allow this happening, and that's why always counseling is done for families, but that is also something which we feel must also be able to be undertaken, and that is why we also must be able to join hands. And this year we did see the launch of this day, and the theme also really for this year, really there was quite many, and we are going to be seeing also really these activities moving on, and the rural city actually joined the rest of the world in celebrating these days, where a number of activities have already been outlined, where we're going to be seeing talk shows both on radio and TVs. We are going to be seeing also a number of activities happening, where we're going to be seeing football matches, that is for both the males and females, refugees and non-refugees. We are going to be seeing that happening in the rural city. We are going to be seeing cleaning session, where the leaders of also the rural city, together with partners, are going to be joining hands to make sure they clean up the city. And one of the partners who has come up on board is Femi Nature, and I really want to appreciate them for that. And I did also see Uganda Society coming up on board, and that means we need more stakeholders to come up on board. And as Western Television, also we need to also come up on board. We have already come up on board to raise awareness in these 16 days, also to make sure that nothing of that happens. Because if you look at issues of domestic violence, this is happening within our families, where the husbands tend to already sometimes silently suffer from issues of gender-based violence. It is actually something that we are talking about, that today we have men who suffer silently, who suffer secretly as a result of the gender-based violence. But we are saying that shouldn't be the case. Come up and report the cases to police, so that solely police can be able to offer guidance to you families who are going through this negative vice of gender-based violence, which is a reality. It is not a dream. It is not also really a rumor. But the fact is, gender-based violence is within our society. So let's reunite and kick this vice out within the 16 days of raising awareness, what we call 16 days only of raising awareness in there. And this is also to end violence against women and girls mostly, because if you look at women and girls, they are the most vulnerable as a result of gender-based violence. Why women? Women are taken also in most cases as the weaker sex. And the girls also today are taken advantage of, being abused sexually, and that is gender-based violence. And that is also another form which we must condemn in the strongest terms, because if you look at issues of child neglect, here and there, all this contributes to the cases of gender-based violence. And this activity also has incorporated one of those also big days that we are going to be celebrating within this period here, that is World AIDS Day, which also falls as within also the days of the gender-based violence. That means at rural city, we'll be able to sort of incorporate activities also of raising awareness against HIV. The world had a target of ending HIV by 2030. If you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, one of it also was talking about ending HIV by 2030. And these are the Millennium Development Goals, which we must also be able to focus on. If you look at 2030, this time around we are only counting about 6 years. That is less, I should even say they are less, that is 2030. But how closer are we getting to ending HIV by that year? Because as per now, we have not discovered the drug or the medicine that also cures HIV. And that is something which we feel people must also be able to join hands on, and we hope at the right time people shall be in position to also get the right also measures to take care of themselves and to take care of yourself. It's quite simple. Avoid multiple sex partners. Avoid also what we call being subject to alcohol, because sometimes substance abuse also leaves people to also sleep anyhow. And that is how we see the disease being spread. And yesterday we had disengagement, and really there's really a lot more that we need to do. And the young people are actually most vulnerable. And if you look at the HIV prevalence rates, anytime from now we shall be having the HIV focal person on the studios with us. And these are some of the questions that we shall be asking him as we get to move on with the discussion. And I hope at the right time we shall be seeing also really these discussions moving on safely. And that is how we shall be seeing that also continuing. But we hope also really these initiatives will be bringing something tangible on table for us to also make sure that we also focus and center our discussions on to make sure that issues pertaining HIV spread will be also really addressed. And that goes back to all the stakeholders, because if you look at gender-based violence and HIV, you will read the World Disability Day also falls in there. And all these activities in one way or the other has an indirect or a direct connection, because if you look at HIV, it fuels conflicts, because you see the man saying that you man, you're the one who did this and that, you're the one who brought me this at home, And you see the children also saying that, Daddy, you did this and that, and Mommy, you have made me do this. And this is also the children who suffer as a result of sowing this disease. So it goes all back to us. Let's sensitize the locals. Let's sensitize our families. Let's tell them that, yes, this is maternal disease is with us, but we can live longer with it. Unlike those are the years that where we used to fear, today we can also be able to live longer, because if you really know your status, then embark on taking the drugs, and that is how, at the end of the day, we are going to be seeing our lives safely, and that also goes back to families. Let's accord an enabling environment to our children, and that is how, at the end of the day, we shall be seeing the rates of this disease be brought down. And that is how we want to see how this also will be going on, and we want to see how this also will be ending in. Now, the 16 days of activism, no excuse, you need to unite to also end the violence against women, is also something. And remember, studies also indicate that every 10 minutes, partners and family members are killed also, and that's also intentionally. That is as per 2023. That is also a study that indicates that at least each and every day that there was a woman also being affected by gender-based violence. Now, the case of gender-based violence is urgent, and that is why during the 16 days of activism, we need to also unite against also the vice. And this time around, the campaign also talks about Unite campaign is drawing attention of alarming escalation of violence against women. And the theme, every 10 minutes, a woman is killed. That is also really something which we must also be able to take keenly in there as a theme for also really one of the themes also for this year's campaign. Now, nearly in 3 women experience also really violence in their lifetime. Girls at a particular risk of violence, and that is also one thing which we are seeing as out of one girl out of 4 adolescents is abused by their partners also really, that is as a form of gender-based violence daily. And for thousands of women in 2023, the cycle of gender-based violence ended with one final and brutal act of murder by partners and family members. Now the 16 days of activism is an opportunity to revitalize commitments, call for accountability and action for decision makers, as the world also already approaches the 30th anniversary of Beijing Declaration. We were also the world also made an appropriation that the world also needs to end some of these vices also in there. Now the crisis of gender-based violence is urgent, as nearly 1 out of 3 women experience violence in their lifetime, and thousands also have been able to also be murdered by also some unknown partners in there. That means it is actually very much important for us to be talking about the 16 days of activism within also these days. Now the 16 days of activism are to demand accountability, invest in prevention, and build a future free from violence against girls and women. It is actually why these days are coming, and today we also have to question our leaders. What have they done to end this violence of gender-based violence, and also violence against partners? And that is exactly what we are seeing, because gender-based violence does not only affect women, it actually cuts across. And that is why it becomes very much important for us to be talking about vice, because if we do not talk about it, then that is how it is going to be very much sad. And as families, we are going to be losing our beloved ones. And as family members, we don't want to see this. Imagine a scenario where, as the husband, you are involved in a domestic brawl with your wife, and unfortunately or accidentally, you hit the partner on the head. What are you going to be exactly telling your children? Let's think about all this. What are you going to be telling the children? That I did murder your mother? Do you think the children will love you? Really, I want to say no. That is why we must always resolve our matters in the bedroom. As Lugbara, we did also see that happening, and I believe as all the Western tribes, we have been having this campaign that if we have issues, if I have an issue with my wife, I don't want to see this happening, and I don't want to see this come out. That is why you will think we're happy. Yet in the bedrooms, people have issues, and that is how we also want to see and also remind you that always dealing with your issues in the bedroom is always key. If at all you cannot be able to sort of handle them in the bedroom quietly, then involvement of some stakeholders is very, very much key. In Islam, it is also the best man and the best teams, the maids, if at all you have issues that you always rush out to, and that is where the religious leaders also have to come in place to also bring in justice within, also and unity within your families. And that is how we want to see that happening. And we are therefore advocating, that is to end impunity against women by advocating for establishment of measures. And I really, on a proper note, we did see Uganda police acknowledging that they have already put up really measures to bring down issues of gender-based violence. That is why the Child and Family Protection Unit is in place. The gender office is as well vividly working, and they have always empowered their police officers to deal with what you call trauma-sensitive care, and that is what we did see also happening last year. I was able to also see the passing out of these police officers who did also have the training that is in relation to trauma-sensitive campaign, something which I want to say is quite good. Let's imagine a scenario where the police officers who are to handle your cases are again suffering from gender-based violence, because GBV cuts across all. It is something which is not also really for families, also really where we are talking about maybe poverty levels, because poverty is actually said to be one of the causes of gender-based violence. Over the years, within December, we have had stories where families fight each other because over the years before issues of climate change started surfacing, between December and January, we used to witness a lot of sun heat in the country, most especially in the region, where we used to witness a lot of sun heat, and people were forced, most especially the women, were forced to trek long distances in search of water, and at the end of the day, we had seen also the scenarios of other girls being raped, women being beaten by their husbands as they come back home. So I think as we are talking about also the gender-based violence in this period, let's also talk about the issues of climate change, because one of the themes also for this year is talking about climate change. I do understand several themes have been put in place, and each district may also be able to have their own theme for this year's celebrations, but we hope at the right time that we shall be seeing this also moving on. But Arua City yesterday did launch that, and we hope at the right time we shall be seeing issues of gender-based violence be also the history, because we want to see that also the ending, and we hope at the right time also we shall be seeing an end to all the forms of gender-based violence or violence against women, because many people prefer calling it that way, but I don't want to sound feminist, and really that is where at the end of the day we shall be seeing an end to this fight of gender-based violence, something which we have always talked about, but we hope at the right time we shall be seeing also an end to issues of gender-based violence in the community. And that is what we did see yesterday, and we hope at the right time we shall be seeing also this ending in our country. And that is exactly where we are putting the discussion aside with, and we hope at the right time we shall be able to see this ending. And leaving that discussion aside, looking at some of the stories happening elsewhere, Martha Karua to lead BCJ and 50 members legal team, that's another story we're seeing. And remember recently we did see retired Colonel Kiza Besigye being arrested, that is from Kenya, where he had gone for the book launch of, that is former Justice Minister for Kenya, that is Martha Karua, and we did see him being picked from there. Now information also indicates that Kenya's former minister for justice, that Martha Karua, is to lead a legal team of 50 lawyers, and that's where the Uganda veteran opposition leader is being tried. And Dr. Kiza Besigye was also really picked, and the ongoing case is in the military court, or that's of Uganda, taking over by, that is also really where she will be taking over from Lord Mayor, that's Elias Lukwago. And according to Mr. Lukwago, over 50 lawyers from Uganda and Kenya have been lined to represent, that is the political leader, and his associate that is together with his associate, that is Haj Obed Lutale, in the case before the General Court Martial sitting in Machin, that's in Kampala, where we did see also one of the musicians yesterday being paraded, and I will be touching that discussion later on. But according to Lukwago, who is interim, also is the interim president, that's for FDC Katonga, a team of lawyers from the International Commission, that is already of jurists, Pan-African lawyers and union, and also the East African Law Society will also be attending the court session, and that is also where we did see Colonel retired Kiza Besigye also being paraded. That's before the military court. Currently he's on remand, that is in Luzira government prison, but we hope at the right time he will be brought also to court for a mention of his case, where either he will be remanded again or sentenced if at all if he's guilty, but if he's innocent, then he will be either given as a part of the freedom also advocacy, that is for the retired army personnel in there who also already was the doctor also already during the NRA war struggle in there. Now Section 18 of the Advocates Act provides that for a lawyer from another legal jurisdiction to practice in Uganda, they must also already be from Commonwealth countries and must apply temporary practice certificate, and the attachment also already, they must be attached to a law firm in Uganda, among others. That is exactly what we are seeing. But what if these lawyers are practicing in Kenya? Does that mean we shall not be seeing them also standing in Uganda for this matter to be tried. And that is why we see police in Kampala have also arrested Kira Municipality MP, Semujunganda, senior opposition mobilizer, Igrit Turinawe, and 6 other members of the FTC Katanga faction as they attempted to march to Kenya High Commission in Uganda for an explanation why there are 2 members, that is Dr. Kiza Besje and his friend Obey Lutwale, we are arrested in Nairobi, and that is exactly what we did see. But now, I can assure you these 2 have already been arrested, and that is exactly what we following up on. And that is exactly what we did see. And also yesterday, we did see also already one musician that's in the names of Murwana Patrick, also known as Alien Skin, who was also paraded before the same court that is sitting in Machindi. And that's only for him to also understand his case. Now, musician Patrick Murwana, also known as Alien Skin, was slapped also with new criminal charges barely a week after he was remanded. That is on allegations of robbery. And Mulwana was also who has been arrested on remand since 20th of this month, and also initially expected to return to court on December 9th for further mention of his case, and was yesterday, November 25th, arraigned before the Machindi Chief Magistrate Court on 3 counts of causing grievous harm against the staff of St. Francis Zambia Hospital, and he's jointly charged alongside his civilian bodyguard, that's Julius Mugabe, who also had his day in court last week before he was remanded, and the 2 pleaded guilty, also not guilty to the charges, and that is exactly what we did see. And according to the charge sheet, also Murwana and Mugabe and still others at large on November 19th of this year at St. Francis Hospital, that's in Zambia Machindi Division, Kampala District, unlawfully also caused grievous harm to Dr. Zaidi Matovu and 2 security guards, that's Alex Odongo and that's Anthony Munyanda. Murwana is separately accused of robbing one Salim Mobiru of his iPhone, that's 15 Pro Max, valued at shillings 3.5 million and shillings 480,000 cash. Also, and the wallet containing a national ID in Machindi Division in Kampala District, that was also on 28th of September, still within this year, and those are charges that are being slapped also against the musician in the names of Alien Skin, who actually sang the City of Danger song, meaning I don't fear danger. More of that discussion will be coming through. That is on the Chuku Chuku from 5 to 7 with, that is Liz Honey, DJ Mosh, and MC Saj, who will be here from 5 to 7, giving you that also information that is in the time, that's in the world of entertainment. I just wanted to give you a hint in relation to also what transpired in there, but hopefully they will be giving that information also within also that time in there. And for you who loves entertainment news, then that is where you must always make it a must watch, because the team will be giving that comprehensive details and also what is happening in the world of showbiz, because that is how they always say it, showbiz, and that is the way they will be giving that information in relation to the different concerts, in relation to what's happening in the entertainment industry, on what musician has done this and that. That discussion will be coming, of course, that is from 5 to 7 on the Chuku Chuku live show, with the team also giving that discussion also in there. And that is where we shall be leaving that discussion aside and moving on this time down to world of politics in the next 2 minutes. If I can briefly give you what's happening in the camp of UPC, we did see the UPC party president, that is Jimmy Akena, also came out to say that nothing can stop him from leading Uganda. And remember, the son to former premier of Uganda, that is also Milton Obote, has come out to say that nothing will be stopping him from leading. But where does this also leave the question? Maybe those who think he cannot lead also at, because he has said nothing also will stop him from leading Uganda. He is optimistic and he sounds very determined. We are keenly following up on. It is actually your duty, it is your obligation, it is your right to think either way. Even if today I wake up tomorrow and I say I want to aspire as president, so long as people trust me and they vote for me, I see no problem. But of course, I'm not thinking about that at the moment. But we hope it is actually your mandate. You have the freedom of association, first of all, to associate yourself with anybody, with any political party. It is not criminal in the laws of this country. And that is where, at the end of the day, we see it also moving on. We are going to be taking a short commercial break with that, and we hope also you are still with us up to 9 o'clock. And we are going to be taking a short commercial break that will be ushering us into our second hour of the show. This is the KOKOLIRIKOLIVE show with me, Farish Majid. And in case you are joining us right about now, you're most welcome. And we also welcome you in a special way and say thank you so much for plugging in. But we are yet running for a short commercial break that will be ushering us into the second hour of the show.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Look out for StarTimes Solar to unwrap your lighting and entertainment experience this Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
At only 700 shillings daily charge, get yourself a StarTimes S50 that comes with lighting, phone charging, strong lithium battery, radio with a flash port and a Bluetooth speaker. For more entertainment needs, get yourself a StarTimes S130 that comes with an extra 32-inch TV screen and 2 years free StarTimes subscription. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
Chichi? Go wangula. Nsasula emyezi 3 nempangula. Hey! Ha!
Abayo, ubatachi.
Chitufu we nsasula emyezi 3 mpangula. Hey, chitufu.
Subscribe for 3 months to any package of your choice or grab an Azam TV kit and pay for 3 months and stand a chance to win life-changing rewards. Android smart TVs, fridges, motorcycles, and that is not all. You could walk away with free subscription or the grand prize of 20 million Ugandan shillings in cash. Yes, 20 million grand prize. Subscribe today and enter the draw. For more information, 031-2308-900 or visit any Azam TV dealer near you.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, continuing from where we left, we are already 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. This is still a Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV channel 477, that's on Star Times. And for those of you watching us via Zuku, the channel number is 0073, not forgetting 369 on Azam. For those who have the decoder, we are still very him from leading the country. And what do you think about the statement? Now, Uganda Post-Congress Party president has also really exhibited some determination to also become Uganda's next president, and says nothing will stop him from achieving his dream come 2026 in the general elections in there. Remember, we are already counting down about 13 months to the next general elections, but then we are seeing that happening. Now, Amaratar AC5 chairperson, that is Geoffrey Ochenkiring, handed over 3 ambulances he donated to the government health facility to support the referral emergencies of cases. That is to other hospitals. Now, the 3 ambulances are worth 450 million shillings. That is just approximately, and we did see also him purchasing them also by Mr. Kiring with financial support from friends. Now the ambulance will be stationed that's at Awonangiro and Anamwanyi and Arotek Health Center 3 is to support mothers and children to access specialized care and treatment from other hospitals. Now the UPC party president was the chief guest at the handover. That's solely where we did see this taking place in different also places in Amaratar, where he introduced Mr. Kiring as the UPC flag bearer for Chioga North constituency in the 2026 general parliamentary elections. And that's where we did see the Lira City Division, Lira City East Division MP also lashed out at some people whom he did also not name for making fun of his political ambition, and he says nothing, of course, will be stopping him from also undertaking his dream of becoming the president, just like how his father did, because his father was again also president, and he also really says nothing will be able to stop him. And he said the warm welcome he also was treated to, that's in Kaberamaido, on November 23rd of 2024, gives him hope that UPC will succeed in securing the future for the Ugandans. Now, Mr. Carl Peters Emokon, UPC National Vice Chairperson for Teso, say the problem is already that the people of Lango face under the sitting government cut across the neighboring also areas of Teso sub-region, and that is exactly what we did see happening in there. Remember also that's where we did also see that happening, and we hope at right time that also will be also moving on, and that is what we did see, and we say that's something exactly we shall be keenly following up on, and we hope at the right time also we shall be similar. And where we did see Mr. Carlos adding that the problem that also is similar to Teso, and that is where during the 2-decade insurgency of the Lord Resistance Army in northern Uganda, this also did see the cattle of the people of Teso being robbed, and that is where we did see the Karamojong and the National Resistance Army also did the same, and that is exactly what we did see happening also happening to the people of Teso sub-region. And we hope at right time this of course will be moving also swiftly in there, and we hope at right time of course that will be ending very well, because we want to see an end that is also these cases of also of such activities happening, and that is where we shall be seeing also that happening. But then the question is, how is he strategizing to make sure that he becomes the next president of the Republic of Uganda? What exactly is he doing, and how, maybe if at all you could be able to advise him, what advice would you give him in terms of also really making sure that he strategizes ahead of the next general elections, where today the roadmap has been also, the revised roadmap has been released, but the constitutional reforms have not been made. The electoral reforms either have not been released, and that is exactly what many people are keenly following up on. They want to see how, of course, this also will be also undertaken, because many of the times would not also understand what exactly is happening. But at the right time, I will be coming back to also let you know of what's happening in there. And that is where we are going to be continuing the discussions. And yesterday we did see government releasing 2025 school calendar. Very early at this time, it goes back to parents. If at all you still have children who are in school, do not think that it is over, because the Ministry of Education has released the official 2025 calendar for primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, detailing key reporting dates for learners at various levels, including those transitioning to new classes. Exactly that has been released, and according to SEDO, primary 7 candidates who sat for 2024 PLE also will be joining senior 1 on February 10th of 2025. That means we do not want to see schools opening around January. They have to open around February 10th. That is the official date for reporting of the senior ones. That is come next year. And similarly, senior 4 candidates who sat also for UCE will be joining senior 5. That is on the 24th of February 2025. That is what we did see happening in now. Now, to ensure a smooth financial placement for PLE candidates It is slated for January 27th and 28th of next year. And while UCE candidates will have their placements conducted between February 6th and the 7th of next year. And now for all learners, that's all for all the learners, Term 1 will officially commence, that is on February 3rd, and to run until, that is May 2nd of 2025, that is for Term 1. Meanwhile, the second term will be commencing on May 26th and will be running until August of 2022, while the third term will start, that is on September 15th, and of course will be concluding, that is on December 5th. That's when we shall be expecting our learners to return home. Nothing more, nothing less, because we don't want to see people reporting early. Again, we don't want to see schools allowing learners to report late, because we want to see all the things be concluded within also the stipulated period of time. And that is exactly what we did see happening, where this also was released. Now, Dr. Kedras Triagenda, the permanent secretary, that is for Ministry of Education, emphasized the importance of adhering to a specific also dates. And that is where she urged the schools to ensure teaching and that learning begin promptly at the start of each term, and caution them against cutting terms short without prior written permissions from our office. That is exactly what we did see her also the warning about. Now, she also warned the institutions, particularly those within Kampala, to also really stop also really reporting dates for also really different classes during also week, also really what we did see happening. And remember, we also had scenarios of schools allowing learners reporting early. That is also where we did see them being warned against. Now, technical vocational institutions have also received their schedules, and health institutions as well have also received that there, such as nursing and midwifery schools, will begin their academic year, that's on January 25th, and will be concluded, that's on 27th of the same year, and that is what we did see happening in there. That will be in June. And the light health institutes are expected to start on February 3rd, and they will be ending, that's on June 27th. Now, details for other technical and vocational institutions are already available at the ministry's online platforms, and that is where, for those who are maybe in technical schools, you want to see how, of course, you will be reporting. You will be in position to check that on those dates solely, and those portals which I've been able to mention to you in there, and that is how we shall be seeing also an end to those activities also happening in our society. But on a quite sad note, that's what we are seeing, and we want to see schools respect this, because many of the times the private schools, most especially, have been identified for not respecting the academic calendar. It's either that they report early or they close late, something which is really against the laws of this country. So I think it is also really high time that the private schools respect those academic calendars, and that is how at the end of the day we shall be seeing our administration moving on smoothly without challenges, and that is what we must push also really on. And at the end of the day, we want to see how that will be moving on smoothly. And to the parents, let's not look at it as burden that the calendar for the next academic year is actually released this year. And I know that may be mounting a lot of pressure on you, but we are saying educate your children, because if we don't educate them, then we are going to be leaving them to suffer, which may not be right. So let's educate our children. Let's educate our society. Let's encourage people to also go back to school, so that at the right time we do not have society that is deemed also of illiteracy. And that is why we shall be able to slowly see that also happening very well and moving on smoothly in the country, because reports from the IG indicate that some civil servants are having fake academic documents. That is the new report we are receiving from IGG. So I think if you want to also avoid your children, or as the children also who are skipping school, you want to avoid yourselves in troubles such as this of such nature, then embracing education is the way to go. Let's embrace education, because we are receiving information from the Inspector General of Government, that is Miss Olive Betty Kamia, and that's where she also said her office has received several complaints from the District Service Commissions recruiting civil servants who lack the requisite academic qualifications. And Ms. Kamia, while speaking at the event that is under the theme Fundamentals of Integrity and Non-Corruption in Kampala, say that investigations reveal that some such workers are graduates from NASA Road in Kampala with also forged academic documents, and that is where today the NASA University is said to be also really causing a lot of harm in terms of promoting papers, and where people get jobs, and at the end of the day, the kind of works they do go back on harming society because they're not qualified. And that is why it is also said that NASA Road is closed associated with forged documents, and that is where today, if at all you also tell somebody that you're going to NASA, people will look at you with two eyes, because that is where a lot of forgery takes place. And Ms. Kamie explained that some fake engineers use poor quality materials after paying also kickbacks to get contracts, and that is exactly what we did see also Kamie also talking about, and said employing unqualified personnel has led to brain drain, where the country's cream seek greener pastures abroad, and that is exactly what we did see Betty Kamie also talk about. Ms. Kamie also revealed that there is need for mindset change so that community members can stop glorifying corruption. This is something also we must also be able to talk about, because if at all we don't talk about issues of corruption and we tend to glorify it, then that is how the vice will be able to go on. Remember, several campaigns have been put in place to end this vice, but which have not yielded very much. And I really hope at the right time we shall be seeing an end to the corruption also we are seeing in this country. And that is where we want to see people joining hands to end the vice. And that is where we would want also to see these negative also issues ending. And now the declaration of assets, to say their office also really lacks the resources to verify whether or not the declarations are genuine. That is another challenge also, because anti-corruption campaign aims the civil servants to also really declare their wealth. But sometimes it becomes a challenge because people under-declare what they have. Mr. Joel Wanjala, a member that is of the general public, also said some of the corrupt individuals are connected and are powerful, and that's where also exposing them becomes very much challenging. Even if you expose them, nothing becomes also out of it, because sometimes if at all we see people who are accused of corruption still remaining in those offices, then public is going to be losing trust in them, and that's where at the end of the day people feel we are all corrupt and we must therefore also do corruption. So I think that is where it becomes a challenge, that some of these individuals are also already having powers really to also do some of those activities which I've said to be very, very much bad. And the report from the Auditor General shows that about 10,000 government workers are illegally on the payroll, and a total of 53 billion was paid to them in 1 year. And also that is what we did see according to Inspector General of Police. Government report also shows that Uganda loses about shilling 10 trillion annually to corruption. It means the vice is still with us. That means we must therefore also join hands to also really make sure that we also really do a lot of strategies and a lot of campaigns to end this negative vice that is also claiming a lot of lives in this country, because if at all corruption still exists, money that was initially meant to go somewhere may not reach there. For instance, let's say health. If at all the health sector is hit by corruption, then the drugs are going to be missing out, water is going to be lacking at the health facilities, power will lack, people will die as a result of that. That is really how it is going to be very, very much dangerous. And that means we must therefore join hands. We must join hands. It is something which we also really have to understand. It's really something where I want to draw your attention to. I want to draw your attention to what we are seeing in relation to what is happening in the world of corruption. Because corruption still exists. It is no longer a rumor. It's no longer a lie. Because while growing up, one of the songs that I used to listen on radio was something for something, nothing for nothing. That is another form of corruption that we are seeing today. And I do not want to talk much about that, but for those who understand, know what I am meaning. And that is where we also really want to say it is another form of corruption. We therefore must also really end it. Now, that is another story where we are going to be also really seeing a lot of discussions already heading that. And now, two security guards have stolen shillings 1 billion from bullion van, and that's another story we are seeing. But before we get to also have that, we are going to be taking a short commercial break, which we also are ushering us in that discussion. And that is where we shall be seeing more of that discussion already happening. But we are going to be taking a short commercial break. That will be ushering us into also more of the discussion, because we want to see how you also as the viewer can be able to share your thoughts and opinions in relation to what we are discussing this morning. We hope you are still with us. We are going to be taking a short commercial break. When we get back, we are going to continue with this discussion in the next hours of the show.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Look out for StarTimes Solar to unwrap your lighting and entertainment experience this Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
At only 700 shillings daily charge, get yourself a StarTimes S50 that comes with lighting, phone charging, strong lithium battery, radio with a flash port and a Bluetooth speaker. For more entertainment needs, get yourself a StarTimes S130 that comes with an extra 32-inch TV screen and 2 years free StarTimes subscription. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
Chichi? Go wangula. Nsasula emyezi 3 nempangula. Hey! Ha!
Abayo, kubatachi.
Chitufu we nsasula emyezi 3 mpangula. Chitufu.
Subscribe for 3 months to any package of your choice or grab an Azam TV kit and pay for 3 months and stand a chance to win life-changing rewards. Android smart TVs, fridges, motorcycles, and that is not all. You could walk away with free subscription or the grand prize of 20 million Ugandan shillings in cash. Yes, 20 million grand prize. Subscribe today and enter the draw. For more information, 031-2308-900 or visit any Azam TV dealer near you.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back into the discussions, and we are still continuing with some of the stories that we are seeing on the past this morning, where we are going to be delving into some of those discussions, and you as the viewer too can still share your thoughts and opinions in relation to what we are discussing this morning. Earlier on I was talking to you about Colonel Kizza Besigye's arrest, and now the Constitutional Court clarifies Geoffrey Kazinda's ruling, and another story that we are seeing still coming out of court. And the Constitutional Court has made itself clear that the Inspector of Government should stop its continued prosecution of the jailed former permanent secretary, that is in the office of the Prime Minister, that is Geoffrey Kazinda, on charges of illicit enrichment until the Supreme Court makes a final decision on his corruption, also related charges. And that is exactly what we did see, where in a unanimous decision of justices consisting of Eva Luswata, Christopher Gashirabake, Oscar Kahika, and Moses Kazibwe, and Dr. Asa Mugenyi to stay in place until such a time the Supreme Court also start pronouncements itself on the matter. And that is exactly what we are seeing also coming out of court stories. In another Constitutional Court also clarifies that clarification arises out of the application filed by Kazinda while accusing the state of disobeying lawful court orders that halted the prosecution on August 7th of 2020. And that is exactly what also we are keenly following up and want to see how, of course, this will be ending. And the right time we shall be also letting you know that also. And in his application, Kazinda started having also been dissatisfied that the state also appealed his order before the Supreme Court. Appealed also, that's what we did see. And now the 5 justices, however, have said that in their judgment, the Supreme Court also doesn't also explicitly mention in its order to also state that there should be any continued prosecution of Kazinda in the lower courts. And that is exactly what we are up to Wantoni in Mukono, with a team of also officials from UNRA, will be also will present a guide to motorists, and that is where those who are intending to use that road will be guided. Now motorists are advised to plan their journeys accordingly and follow the diversion signs and also instructions according from traffic officers to avoid any disruption. Now the Kampala Ginger Highway has been also messed over the years, and the particular spot in Mabira has turned into a near impassable area with heavy trucks already overturned this year. Then I really want to say, if Kofi was an artist, then it would be the most trending artist for this year, because many times we've been talking about Kofi. The song of Kofi has always been there, right in Parliament. Members of the public, all the media houses have been talking about Kofi. And really, rather today, we are seeing also the drop in the coffee exports. That is also something which we are seeing on a quite saddle, because many times we've been talking about these issues of coffee also really dropping in there. But that also leaves us with a lot of questions. And the question which we are seeing is that how shall we be able to see that this coffee also really ends very, very well, in maybe also picks once again, because we want to see how coffee, of course, will be picking it up again, and we want to see how at the right time many people will be in position to solely benefit from the coffee that we are talking about, because many of the times people have not been able to benefit and tap into coffee like how many people would be able to think about it. And that is also where we shall be seeing also that happening in there. Looking at some of the stories happening elsewhere, 2 lawyers summoned over forgery of land documents. And also we're seeing where 2 city lawyers have been asked to appear in court to answer charges related to alleged forgery of agreements for sale of land that's in Kibanja, in Katanga, near Wandegea, which is a Kampala suburb in there. Now, Buganda Road Court, that's Chief Magistrate, that is Ronald Kaisi, summoned Robert Semfuka and Omar Nyanzi to appear in court. That's on December 2nd, that's on next Monday, for these charges. Now, the 2 lawyers had been directed to also appear in court, that's to appear in court Buganda Road last Monday to answer the charges, but their lawyers also say the accused persons were summoned when they had already set appointments, and the court also decision came after the private prosecutor, that's Patrick Fura, revealed that the duo also was served there through their lawyers and also via WhatsApp also, but they were also not in court. And Mr. Semfuka, together with Mr. Nyanzi, are facing accusations of forgery, uttering false documents, and conspiracy to commit a felony, following a complaint by Pastor Daniel Walugembe through his lawyers. And that's exactly what we are seeing happening in there on a quite sad, because as a lawyer, but if at all we start seeing lawyers engaging in such practices, then that is how it is going to be very, very much bad. And we leave this matter in the hands of court. We want to see how, of course, court will also come out and make its pronouncement. And therefore, we shall also be waiting for pronouncements from the Uganda Law Council and the Uganda Society also on this matter in there. Now, it's alleged that they said lawyers under their law firm, that is SK and Partners Advocates, while acting, that is for and on behalf of Dr. Ntuatua Lule, on July 21st, 2023, knowingly and unlawfully uttered sales agreements that February 9th, 1996 and August 13th of 1996. And that is exactly what we did see, where also he alleged that the accused lawyers forged these agreements on February 9th, 1996 and that on August 13th of 1996, to indicate that MTN telephone numbers of him, that's Walugembe, and his lawyers, as well as that is also of the Land Act. That is exactly what we see as part of the agreements in terms of forging those documents. Now the complaint further states that the genuine and authentic sales agreements bore certificate, that's of translation, whereas the forged documents did not, and that is exactly what we did see happening. Now Pastor Walugembe contends that the said agreements were originated on behalf of Dr. Ntwatwa, thereby committing the offense of conspiracy to commit a felony before they were uttered before the Chief Magistrate Court at the Law Development Center on July 10th of 2023, while also cross-examining him. And on August 14th of this year, the Buganda Road Court found that the alleged documents also were uttered by the Deputy Registrar, that's of the Land Division, that's Ms. Geneva Natukunda, who clarified them as possibly in error, and that is exactly what we did see happening in there. And if you talk about the possible in error, it means it is the error that we are talking about in courts. Something, that's exactly what we are seeing happening in there, and we are still following up on this matter, and we want to hope at the right time this also matter is resolved, because if at all there was something involved, then that something must be exposed. If at all they're also free, then they must also be let free, because for the law it is clear, you must be proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. There's no way you're going to be accused of any crime that you not do, and that is why we also really want to see how you will be in position to solely be also really addressed also innocent or guilty until proven also really beyond reasonable doubt in there. Now a case of forgery is contrary to section 342 and 347 of the Penal Code Act, and uttering false documents is contrary to section 351 while conspiracy to commit, and at the right time I will be in position to solely give that information. But as we get to move on, remember so many issues going to happen, and I will be delving on all that in this remaining few minutes, but we are going to be heading for yet another short commercial break. When we return back, we shall be continuing the discussion from there. This is the Kokoliriko Live show, and of course we are heading for the final break that will be ushering us into what's happening internationally, and I will be checking through on what's happening in the world of sports. For now, we take a short commercial breather. When we get back, we are going to be summarizing the day.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back into the final half of today's discussions, and we are already some few minutes to wind up with the discussions. But before we get to wind up with what's happening internationally or in the world of sports, still let's look at what's happening in the country. We have seen already 2 security guards have also been arrested for stealing 1 billion from also a billion van, and that is where we are seeing police in Kampala investigating a case of robbery of over shillings 1 billion against 2 security guards who had been deployed to transport the money in a bullion van in there. Now, according to Kampala Metropolitan Police Deputy Spokesperson, that is Assistant Superintendent of Police, that is Luka Wisjire, preliminary findings indicate that 2 SG4S security guards, while transiting cash, that is from Luboa to Nakasero on November 19th, allegedly conspired, that is to also really rob the bullion van, registration number that is UHJ 1990. The vehicle was later abandoned, that's in Nabunye and Rubaga Division, that is in Kampala, along with 2 rifles, and they disappeared with the money. Now the police tracked also down the suspects before one Ambrose Cicero team was arrested in Kwania district, and he was found in possession of shilling 117 million, and suspect to also be part of the stolen money. And that's where, according to also information we did see, Superintendent of Police Luka Wisjire also responding that now, according to him, investigations are ongoing and more details will be shared as soon as they are available. But really, as a person who is trusted to do this kind of work in terms of transporting money, why would you disappear with such a money? Because you are trusted. And that is where sometimes issues of artificial intelligence will also at one time surpass trusting real men. Because if at all the money was maybe to be delivered by artificial intelligence, maybe drone, this money will just be delivered to where it is going. But really, where you trust human beings and then people disappear with 1 billion, I really feel it is something really we must also investigate, and people must be also during also which time the parent threatened to stop also really paying her fees if she divulged any information about this abuse. And that is exactly how also really at the end of the day we have seen this happening. It also goes back to society, and that in terms of upbringing, because if at all you are raising your child in this way, how do you intend the child now to also live outside? That is how at the end of the day we are going to be seeing this issue sort of persisting. But I really want to say there's nothing you're going to be doing in dark forever. Even if you like it or not, at one time these issues will surface. This is what I want to tell the persons out there who may be watching, necessarily for your own daughter, even for your own relatives, because today we talk about incest. It is happening. Cousins, brothers, sisters, it's happening. So I think it's also a time that we as leaders and stakeholders, we need to come back and talk to people about these issues. It goes back to clergy. Let the pastors and the moms take also the altars in the mimbalis. Talk to the people about these issues. We are seeing also happening in our society today, because if we don't talk about it, then that is how dangerous it is going to be. And on November 18th of 2004, the victim reportedly also ran away from their home. That is in the town council. Got refuge at her home. That's a Pentecostal pastor. On the same also date, that's on the 18th, when the victim also was moving out to the pastor's home, she met her school teacher who demanded to know why she's not at school, and she told the teacher the reason also that she was sick, and that is exactly what we did see happening in there. Now, the district probation officer, Miss Joyce Namigade, said she was in contact with the police over the same case, and that is a confirmation that we also want to see this man be brought to book. I really feel he must be brought to book, and he must continue with this responsibility of paying this girl. Really keeping, this is again a disaster now, keeping him in prison, the girl misses out on school. Bringing him back, he's going to continue with this kind of violence. I really feel there's something which also really must also come out and also really embark on. And now Michael Sesanga, a program officer attached to the Concern for Child and Community Development F-33 fleet for 6 months, and that is where we shall be seeing also the airlines also receiving more airlines, most especially within the, also the first, not the national carrier, also say that the aircraft also comes also with its pilots and cabin crew, and will help resolve, that is also really on some of the operational challenges on routes like Johannesburg and Kinshasa, as this also will be going on, and that is exactly what we are keenly following up on and want to see how this of course will be ending. But we are reliably informed that Uganda Airlines has now secured that aeroplane that will be on a 6 months period that's on lease, where Uganda will be using it, and that's sort of something which we're keenly following up on. And the aircraft also which we did secure is 162 cabin class, also the configuration of 12 business class and 114 economy seats. And the aircraft will also offer increased capacity for passenger baggage and the cargo, according to information we are receiving from in there, and that is for the business community as also a point of excitement to them, to also really jubilate as a matter also really of also that importance in there. And that is where we are still following up on. Remember, we did discuss a lot of issues, and we did discuss the number of pertinent issues here and there, but now it is high time that we look at what's happening internationally and also in the world of sports before we get to move on also really some of those issues. And looking at what's happening in the world of international stories, Trump vows day one tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. That's where we did see the president-elect, that is Donald Trump, says he will hit China, Mexico, and Canada when new tariffs on day one also of his presidency. In that effort, that's to force them to crack down on illegal migration and drug smuggling into the U.S. And that is exactly what we did see the U.S. president-elect say immediately after his inauguration, that is on 20th of January, and that he will sign an executive order imposing that's a 25% tariff on all goods coming from Mexico and Canada. And he also said an additional 10% tariff will be levied on China until the government also there blocks smuggling of the synthetic opioid from that is the country. And if the Trump also follows this and the threats, it will mark a major escalation in tensions that is with America's 3 biggest trading partners, and that is exactly what business experts are fearing of. But that's exactly what we did see the president-elect talking about, where the tariffs on Mexico and Canada will remain on place until the 2 countries clamp down on drugs particularly fentanyl and migrants illegally crossing the border. And Trump said also in a post that is on his Truth social platform, and that is what we are keenly following. Now, a spokesman for the Chinese embassy in Washington told BBC the idea of China knowingly allowing fentanyl also prosecutors to flow into the U.S. runs completely. That's also counter to fact also and reality, and that is exactly what we did see Donald Trump also warning about in there, and that is exactly what we are following about. But the question always is that where does this leave the president-elect in his foreign policy, and what does it mean to his also foreign policy, foreign relations with also other countries, most especially those countries that are also directly dealing in terms of supplying his country with also what's happening and what is to come in this country in there. And that is exactly what many experts are asking themselves about. But we are keenly following up and we want to see how, of course, that will be also moving on in there. And that is where we shall be also posing with our discussions and looking at what also is happening in the world of sports. And that is where we shall be also posing with the discussions for today. But really to allow you to also see what's happening in the world of sports, we shall be seeing also the leagues returning. That is on the 26th, where we shall be seeing the 4 big league returning, where Karo Karunji will be taking on Chegeze Homeboys. Medical Calvary will be up in action, that is against Kataka on the 29th. And these are some of the games that which we shall be seeing also in the coming days. And somebody may be interested in wanting to know how, of course, the standings for the 4 big league at the moment are. Briefly, if I can be able to go through the table, I want to inform you that Blacks Power from Lira are the table leaders with 16 points. Meanwhile, Boma are in the second place with 15 points. Medical Calvary from Yumbe are in the third place with 14 points. And Gaddafi is in the 4th place with also 14 points. Meanwhile, Odupeleka Football Club is sitting comfortably in the 5th place with 12 points, and Paida Black Angels is in the 6th place with that is 10 points, but with less games played. And Chigeze Homeboys is in the 10th place, sorry, in there. Meanwhile, for the bottom crew, Royal Football Club, after their win also against Paida Black Angels, have moved, that is to 12 points, but still within the red zone with 7 points. Karo Karunji is in there in the 13th place with 6 points. Meanwhile, Bosoga United is in the 14th place with 5 points only. Meanwhile, at the last bottom is Maida with only 2 points also in there, and that is how the 4 big league is looking like. Meanwhile, for the Southern Uganda Premier League, we are also very much interested in what is happening in there. I want to inform you that the games are returning, and that is where we shall be seeing also the game becoming competitive, and that is where we shall be seeing also the leagues returning. But in some of the games also which we did see happening over recently, and you read that solely the league is indeed proving it is very, very much competitive. But the leagues, of course, will be returning on the 27th of this month, where we shall be seeing UPDF up in action against Police. Wakiso Giants will be taking on URA, and on the 28th of this month, we shall be seeing Mbare Heroes up in action against Bright Stars. Meanwhile, Express will be taking on Barara City, and some of those games will be following also subsequently in there. Meanwhile, for the stable standings, somebody may be interested in wanting to know how the league also is looking like. Vipers are currently sitting on top of the log with 20 points. NEC Football Club, second place with 19 points. Kampala Capital City Authority, after losing to NEC, are in the third place with only 18 points. Meanwhile, Villa are in the 4th place with 14 points. And Bull Football Club from Jinja are in the 5th place, in the 5th place with 13 points. Express in the 6th place with 13 points. In the 7th place is Police Football Club with 12 points. And in the 8th place is Barra City with 12 points. And we do see Maroons currently on the 9th place with 12 points. UPDF at the 10th place with also 12 points in there. Meanwhile, URA Football Club in the 12th place and in the 11th place with 11 points. Lugazi are in the 12th place with 10 points. Wakiso Giants are in the 13th place with 9 points. And for the red zone, Kitara Football Club have moved after their first win, have again moved, that is to the 14th place with 7 points. Sontilo Bright Stars are in there with 6 points. Mbale Heroes are sitting at the bottom with only 5 points. That is how the StarTimes Uganda Premier League is looking like. And that is where, for those who have been following some of these teams, maybe you're interested in some of those teams, that is how the leagues are also looking like. Meanwhile, we did see also English Premier League having a game last night. That game was between Newcastle and West Ham United. Surprisingly, West Ham United was able to beat Newcastle United by 2-0 at home. I don't think many people never saw this coming. but that is how the English Premier League is looking like. Tonight, we shall be seeing the men's night returning. And if you talk about Champions League, many times we call it the men's night. That is where we shall be seeing games like AC Milan taking on Slovan Bratislava. We shall be seeing Sparta Prague taking on Atletico Madrid. Barcelona will be taking on Brest. Bayer Leverkusen will be taking on RB Leipzig. Bayern Munich will be up in action against Paris Saint-Germain, another interesting game. As Inter Milan will be taking on RB Leipzig. Manchester City will be taking on Feyenoord. And Sporting CP will be up in action against Arsenal Football Club. Young Boys will be playing Atalanta. That's how tonight will be looking like. And with that, we want to come to the end.